Behind the glamour, fame, and flashing lights, even the world's most successful people fight their own hidden battles. Some of them have faced medical conditions, mental health struggles, or rare disorders, yet still managed to shape the world in ways few could ever imagine. In this video, we're diving deep into the stories of 20 world-famous people who either publicly shared or were reported to have struggled with unique disorders or health conditions. These aren't stories of weakness, they're stories of resilience, vulnerability, and the power to rise above challenges. Sources include verified interviews, documentaries, and reputable outlets like The Guardian, Time, Healthline, Wikipedia, and more. So, let's uncover the human side of fame.
Let's start with someone whose name is practically synonymous with innovation, Elon Musk. Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, revealed during his 2021 Saturday Night Live monologue that he has Asperger's syndrome, a condition now classified under autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. He said, quote, "I'm actually making history tonight as the first person with Asperger's to host SNL, or at least the first to admit it." That's according to Axios and The Guardian. Asperger's typically affects social communication and behavior. Musk has mentioned that he often takes things literally and sometimes misses social cues, something he believes influences his unique way of thinking. According to Wikipedia and myautism.org, this self-disclosure is one of the rare times a global business leader has publicly discussed an autism spectrum diagnosis. Whether you love him or criticize him, it's hard to deny how his divergent thinking shaped electric vehicles, space exploration, and even AI development. His story reminds us that being different can be a superpower if you learn how to channel it.
Next up, Taylor Swift, one of the most awarded and influential artists on the planet. While she's never publicly confirmed a medical diagnosis, Swift has spoken openly about her battles with anxiety, stress, and perfectionism. In her 2020 documentary, Miss Americana, as reported by The Guardian and Rolling Stone, she discussed the immense pressure of public scrutiny and how it affected her mental health. She also shared how she used to control her eating habits due to body image anxiety, fueled by the media. Psychologists, according to Healthline, note that traits like overplanning, self-criticism, and control can overlap with anxiety disorders or obsessive-compulsive tendencies, but these are never diagnoses unless confirmed by professionals. Taylor's story isn't about labels. It's about navigating impossible expectations while staying authentic. Her transparency has made her a role model for young fans who deal with anxiety in a world obsessed with perfection.
Now, you can't talk about mental health and celebrities without mentioning Kanye West, also known as Ye. According to Psych Central and The Guardian, Kanye West has publicly confirmed that he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in 2016. He even titled his 2018 album, Ye, referencing his struggles with the phrase, "I hate being bipolar, it's awesome," printed on the cover. In interviews, he described manic episodes as bursts of creativity and paranoia, saying, "When you're in this state, everything feels like a conspiracy." But recently, in 2025, The Guardian reported that Kanye now claims his bipolar diagnosis was incorrect, and that he has actually been diagnosed with autism. This, of course, remains unverified. No medical documentation has been released, and professionals urge caution when interpreting such self-disclosures. What we can say for sure is that Ye's case illustrates how complex mental health can be, and how understanding yourself is an ongoing process. Whether bipolar or autistic, he's turned personal struggle into creative fuel. Moving on to another artist whose openness has changed lives, Selena Gomez.
In 2020, during an Instagram Live with Miley Cyrus, covered by Fly FM and People magazine, Selena revealed that she had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She explained that learning about her condition gave her a sense of control, saying, "When I know more, it doesn't scare me." On top of that, Selena also battles lupus, a chronic autoimmune disease that can cause fatigue, joint pain, and even organ inflammation. According to Wikipedia and her 2022 Apple TV Plus documentary, My Mind and Me, the combination of physical and mental health challenges has tested her resilience for years. But she's not hiding anymore. She's turned her platform into an advocacy for mental health, founding the Rare Impact Fund to support awareness programs. As Time magazine put it, Selena Gomez has transformed from pop star to one of the most powerful voices for emotional honesty in entertainment.
Fifth on our list is the legendary Mariah Carey. In 2018, Carey told People magazine and Time that she had been diagnosed with bipolar II disorder back in 2001, but kept it private for nearly 2 decades out of fear and stigma. She described periods of extreme highs, known as hypomania, followed by deep depression, saying, "I lived in denial and isolation for years because I was so afraid someone would expose me." Eventually, she decided to seek treatment and start therapy. According to Glamour magazine, she now uses her platform to raise awareness and to remind people that mental health disorders don't have to define your life. Carey's courage in speaking up late in her career gave hope to countless fans struggling with similar conditions. So far, we've looked at 5 major figures who turned their struggles into sources of strength. But that's just the beginning. Up next, we'll explore stories of world leaders, philosophers, and icons whose personal battles changed history itself.
Let's talk about one of the greatest athletes in history, Lionel Messi. Everyone knows Messi for his superhuman skills on the football field, but few realize that as a child, he faced a condition that almost ended his career before it began. According to BBC Sport and Healthline, Messi was diagnosed with growth hormone deficiency, or GHD, when he was just 10 years old. This condition prevents the body from producing enough growth hormone, leading to stunted physical development. The treatment involved daily hormone injections, something his family couldn't afford. His hometown club, Newell's Old Boys, paid for part of it, and later, when FC Barcelona discovered his talent, they agreed to fund the rest. It's an incredible reminder that even biological limitations can be overcome with support, opportunity, and determination. Messi's story, backed by Wikipedia and ESPN reports, shows that sometimes greatness starts not with strength, but with struggle.
Next up, the visionary behind Apple, Steve Jobs. Jobs completely revolutionized technology, art, and design. But according to his biographers, like Walter Isaacson, and media outlets such as Time and Business Insider, Jobs also displayed traits of obsessive perfectionism and emotional volatility. Some former employees described his personality as intense and unpredictable, while psychologists reviewing his biography have speculated about narcissistic personality traits, though there's no clinical diagnosis on record. What's fascinating is how this relentless drive, while difficult for people around him, pushed Apple to achieve near impossible standards. His story is a study in duality, how personality traits that cause tension can also fuel innovation. As Time magazine once said, Steve Jobs could be cruel, but he demanded excellence and changed the world because of it.
Now, from tech to science, the genius himself,
Albert Einstein. Many historians and psychologists have retroactively suggested that Einstein may have exhibited traits consistent with autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. According to Scientific American and the National Autistic Society, Einstein reportedly struggled with social interactions, was deeply focused on narrow interests, and had delayed speech development, all traits commonly associated with autism. However, it's very important to say that no clinical diagnosis exists, and such speculation is based solely on biographical interpretation. Einstein lived in a time before modern psychiatry even had these definitions, so any conclusion is purely theoretical. Still, his intense focus, pattern recognition, and unique way of viewing the universe suggest that thinking differently, even radically differently, can reshape human knowledge. His case, cited in Smithsonian Magazine, reminds us labels aren't as powerful as ideas.
Next, let's move from science to royalty. Princess Diana, one of the most beloved and tragic figures of the 20th century. As reported by BBC, Time, and The Guardian, Diana openly admitted to suffering from bulimia nervosa and episodes of depression. In her famous 1995 interview with the BBC, she spoke candidly about how media pressure, emotional isolation, and the collapse of her marriage pushed her towards self-destructive coping mechanisms. She said, "You inflict it upon yourself because your self-esteem is at a low ebb." Her openness broke taboos about mental health, especially in the British royal family, where silence was tradition. According to Healthline, Diana's courage in discussing eating disorders on a global stage helped countless others seek help and start conversations that were once considered shameful. Her story remains one of strength, empathy, and the human cost of living under constant scrutiny.
And now, from royalty to philosophy. Friedrich Nietzsche, the man whose ideas reshaped modern thought. Nietzsche's brilliance is undeniable, but his later years were marked by tragedy. In 1889, at the age of 44, he suffered a complete mental breakdown while living in Turin, Italy. According to Britannica and Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, after this episode, he never fully recovered, spending the remaining years of his life in care until his death in 1900. The cause of his mental collapse remains debated. Some historians blame syphilis. Others propose frontotemporal dementia or bipolar disorder. Regardless of the diagnosis, Nietzsche's later writings display a haunting brilliance that blurred the line between genius and madness. As The Guardian phrased it, Nietzsche's mind, both extraordinary and tormented, continues to challenge our understanding of philosophy and sanity. His story symbolizes how even the brightest flames can burn themselves out.
So far, we've seen innovators, artists, and thinkers, each battling something different, each proving that struggle and greatness often walk hand in hand. But in the next part, we'll move to more historical and artistic figures, from the Renaissance to Hollywood, whose stories are just as powerful. Let's start this part with one of the greatest minds in history, Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo was the ultimate Renaissance man, painter, inventor, scientist, and dreamer. But as brilliant as he was, he famously left countless projects unfinished. According to The Guardian and a 2019 study published in the Journal of Brain, Modern researchers believe Leonardo may have displayed traits consistent with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. They cite his restless curiosity, his inability to stay focused on one project, and his habit of moving from one obsession to another. Of course, diagnosing someone from the 15th century is impossible, but this theory helps us understand that even chaotic creativity can produce genius. As The Guardian put it, Leonardo's mind was constantly racing, and perhaps that restlessness was exactly what made him extraordinary. Whether or not he had ADHD, his life proves that brilliance doesn't have to follow order. Sometimes it thrives in chaos.
Up next, a man who made the world laugh through its darkest times, Charlie Chaplin. Chaplin's silent films are iconic, but behind the humor was a man haunted by depression and emotional turmoil. According to Biography.com and The Independent, Chaplin grew up in poverty, losing his father early and watching his mother suffer from mental illness. Those early traumas shaped his art, mixing comedy and tragedy like no one before him. Biographers describe him as introspective and melancholy, and friends noted that he struggled with loneliness even at the height of fame. There's no official diagnosis, but his emotional depth and sensitivity made his films universal. As Time magazine wrote, Chaplin understood pain, and that's why his laughter healed so many. His story reminds us, sometimes the brightest smiles hide the deepest scars.
Now let's talk about someone from our own era, Ed Sheeran, the British singer-songwriter who turned vulnerability into music. Sheeran has spoken openly about his childhood speech disorder and social anxiety. According to BBC News and People magazine, Ed developed a severe stutter after a medical treatment went wrong when he was a child. He later credited Eminem's music with helping him overcome it, rapping along to learn rhythm and pronunciation. In various interviews, including one with Rolling Stone, Sheeran admitted that he still struggles with anxiety, especially around fame and crowds, saying, "I feel claustrophobic at award shows." His openness has encouraged many young fans to embrace their differences and seek help instead of hiding them. Sheeran's story shows that you don't have to be fearless to succeed, just determined.
Few modern icons have redefined strength like Rihanna. Known for her music, fashion empire, and business acumen, Rihanna has also faced deep emotional trauma. According to The Guardian and BBC, she has spoken about the lingering effects of domestic abuse from her relationship with Chris Brown back in 2009. In later interviews, she revealed that she struggled with trust issues, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress symptoms in the aftermath. Despite that, Rihanna rebuilt herself, not just as a singer, but as a global entrepreneur and philanthropist. She told Vogue in 2019, "Every time I fall, I rise." Her story stands as a testament that strength doesn't mean never breaking. It means learning how to rebuild.
And now, let's step back into history. Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected presidents in U.S. history. According to Smithsonian Magazine and The Atlantic, Lincoln suffered from what was then called melancholy, which modern historians interpret as clinical depression. Letters from friends and accounts from colleagues describe him as deeply introspective, prone to sadness, and even suicidal thoughts in his early years. Despite that, Lincoln led the nation through the Civil War and changed history forever with the Emancipation Proclamation. In his writings, He often used humor and philosophy to combat despair, once saying, "If I did not laugh, I should die." His story reminds us that leadership and vulnerability are not opposites. They often come from the same well of empathy and pain. As Time put it, Lincoln's sadness didn't weaken him, it made him human.
We've now seen how artists, thinkers, and even presidents have faced invisible battles and turned pain into power. But we're not done yet. In the final part of this video, we'll look at 5 more extraordinary people, from activists to modern icons, and what their struggles can teach us about courage and resilience.
Let's start this final section with a man whose name is synonymous with both genius and pain, Vincent van Gogh. The Dutch painter created more than 2,000 artworks, including Starry Night, yet he sold only 1 painting during his lifetime. According to the Van Gogh Museum and the New York Times, he suffered from bipolar disorder, psychosis, and possibly temporal lobe epilepsy. His mental illness led to episodes of mania and depression, and famously, he cut off part of his own ear after an argument with fellow artist Paul Gauguin. Van Gogh spent his final years in and out of psychiatric hospitals, writing over 900 letters to his brother Theo, filled with both despair and brilliance. He once wrote, "I put my heart and soul into my work, and I have lost my mind in the process." His life reminds us that even in darkness, beauty can emerge, and that sometimes the line between genius and madness is heartbreakingly thin.
Now from art to politics. Sir Winston Churchill, Britain's wartime prime minister and one of the most influential leaders of the 20th century. Churchill famously referred to his depression as his black dog. According to History.com and BBC Archives, he battled deep periods of despair throughout his life, sometimes vanishing from public view for weeks. Yet, despite this inner darkness, he led Britain through World War II with courage and defiance, giving speeches that inspired millions. His honesty about his mental health, rare for his time, helped normalize the idea that strength and struggle can coexist. As The Guardian once said, Churchill fought 2 wars, one against fascism and one within his own mind, and in both he refused to surrender.
Next up, one of the most decorated Olympians in history, Michael Phelps. With 28 Olympic medals, Phelps is a living legend. But his story off the podium is just as powerful. According to Healthline and ESPN, Phelps was diagnosed with ADHD as a child and struggled to focus in school. Swimming became his therapy, his outlet. Later in life, after retirement and immense media pressure, he opened up about depression and suicidal thoughts. In interviews with CNN and the New York Times, Phelps said, "I thought of myself as a swimmer, not a person. When that was gone, I didn't know who I was." Today, he's an advocate for mental health awareness, proving that even champions need help, and asking for it is a sign of strength, not weakness.
Few modern celebrities have been as open about their mental health as Demi Lovato. According to NAMI and The Guardian, Lovato was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in her early 20s, after years of struggling with addiction, eating disorders, and emotional instability. In her documentary, Simply Complicated, and multiple interviews, she's spoken about relapse, therapy, and the hard road to recovery. Her message to fans is raw and real. It's okay to not be okay. Demi uses her platform to fight stigma and promote self-compassion, proving that even when life breaks you, you can rebuild stronger than before. As Rolling Stone wrote, Lovato's greatest performance isn't on stage, it's her survival.
And finally, we come to Robin Williams, the man who made millions laugh, yet carried unimaginable pain inside. According to Time and the Los Angeles Times, Williams battled severe depression for years. After his death in 2014, it was revealed he also suffered from Lewy body dementia, a rare brain disorder that causes hallucinations, anxiety, and confusion. Friends and doctors later said that this undiagnosed illness contributed heavily to his decline. His story shocked the world and opened a long-overdue global conversation about mental health among entertainers. Robin once said, "Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind, always." That quote, perhaps more than any joke he ever told, became his legacy. His laughter lives on, but so does his message. Compassion is everything.
From Musk's autism to Robin Williams' depression, from Lincoln's melancholy to Rihanna's resilience, these 20 stories remind us of a single truth. Greatness isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. Every one of these people faced something that could have destroyed them: illness, trauma, or invisible pain. But instead of breaking, they transformed their suffering into art, innovation, and hope. As The Guardian once wrote, the human mind is fragile, but it's also fearless. So if you're watching this and you're struggling, remember, you're not broken, you're becoming. And maybe, just maybe, the part of you that hurts the most is the same part that will change the world.
If you like this kind of content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if there's something you're curious about, let us know in the comments. We'd love to make a video just for you.